My guest today is the one politician who will determine the next steps of national politics in the build-up to 2019. What happens in Karnataka will have a direct impact on the morale within the Congress party, but also could prove to be an inflection point in what shape the opposition and the ruling party take in the build-up to the next general election. He's also the first chief minister in 40 years in Karnataka to have completed his full 5 years. And in many ways, he's played a distinct brand of politics here in Karnataka, playing on regional pride. Mr. Siddaramaiah, welcome to this program. Let me start by asking you how confident or not you are.
I'm fully confident, 100% I am confident, because of our performance and the good governance that we have given, scandalous government we have given, and we have fulfilled all the promises we made to the people of Karnataka in 2013 through our manifesto. So that's why on the base of this, the people are happy with our programs and there is no anti-incumbency against our government. So I can understand the pulses of the people of Karnataka because I have been campaigning for political parties since 1994. So that's why I am very confident that Congress party will get the clear majority and will come back to power.
The BJP says that the fact that you have finally decided to contest from 2 seats shows that maybe your confidence is a little less right now. How do you explain why, after saying you would contest from only 1 seat, you finally decided on 2 constituencies in the north and the south?
I have decided to contest only from Chamundeshwari constituency because it's my earlier constituency. Yes. 7 times I contested from that constituency and I won 5 times. And I told the High Command also I am not interested to contest in 2 constituencies. Because the people of North Karnataka, the leaders, the contesting candidates, they are all requesting me to contest from Badami.
Yes.
Because it helps them in North Karnataka. So they are building pressure on High Command and on me. And finally, I have made up my mind to contest, and the High Command also given a direction to contest from 2 constituencies.
What would you say to the BJP that says this is a sign of Siddaramaiah showing nervousness? What will you say to them?
Then how Narendra Modi ji contested 2 constituencies in the last parliament election? What is their answer to that? Was Modi afraid of that Gujarat parliament constituency? He has gone to that Varanasi. Why he has gone to Varanasi? See, they have no answer to this. See, this is a political decision. They are making political statement.
There's also now a rumor that Yediyurappa may contest against you in Badami.
Let him contest. I welcome it.
Are you worried at all if
it
becomes a clash of 2 chief ministerial candidates? It'll means you'll have to spend more time there than in the rest of the
I
state.
did not spend more time. See, the people of Badami and the leaders who are from that North Karnataka, they will take care of my constituency.
A lot of political observers say, Mr. Siddaramaiah, that in some ways your brand of politics is defeating the BJP at its own game. So if they do identity politics, you're also doing one kind of identity politics by emphasizing on Kannada as a language, the state having its own song, the state having its own flag. Do you think in a way you're playing a similar game to the BJP by playing identity politics?
See, I am playing and placing the facts on ground realities. But they have no issues. They are making mere allegations. They are raising issues which are not at all concerned with the state. That is why, see, the issues which are, for example, Kannada language issue. The reorganization of states has been taken place on the basis of the language. See, Kannada is this you have to protect the supremacy of the language in Karnataka, in any other state as a matter of fact. That is what we are doing here.
But you've had Hindi signs removed from metros.
No, it is a project. It's a joint venture project, both by Government of India and Government of Karnataka. We are doing it. Why they are not put Hindi nameplate in Chennai? Why they are very particular to put Hindi plate in Karnataka only, in Bangalore only? That's why I said, see, when Chennai is opposing, why not Karnataka?
So are you anti-Hindi?
No, I am not anti-Hindi. I am not against any language as a matter of fact. But Hindi should not be imposed forcibly on any language or any section of the people.
Because even when the BJP leader Muralidhar Rao, who's in charge of Karnataka, on Twitter, he was making fun of you for contesting from 2 seats, and he tweeted partially in Hindi, and you retorted back saying, I don't understand Hindi, you tweet in Kannada or English.
See,
it was a joke, but it was also a big political political statement that you were making.
No, it's not a political statement. See, he has tweeted in Hindi.
Yes.
See, majority of our Karnataka people, they can't understand Hindi. They can't read or understand Hindi. So that is why I said, you tweet it in either in English or in Kannada. So that he has not done.
What is your view on the place of Hindi in Karnataka? Does it have any place according to you?
No, I have no objection to learn Hindi as a language. But it should not be imposed on any state. That is my point.
Perhaps the most controversial and much discussed announcement by you was that of a state flag, because the only other state that has its own flag is Jammu and Kashmir, and it has a special status under Article 370. And it was suggested that even the Congress High Command was not fully comfortable. They thought this would set a dangerous trend of, in a way, sub-nationalism. How do you defend the need for a state flag?
It is not Karnataka government initiated that Karnataka should have its own flag. One Mr. Patil Puttappa was a very senior journalist and a writer. He made an petition to the government of Karnataka to have a separate flag for Karnataka, and I have constituted a committee. They gave a report. And there is no provision which prohibits the state should not have its own flag. Where is the provision in the constitution prohibiting states should not have flag?
Right now, only one state does.
And no, because it's a special state.
Yes.
I know that a special status has been given to
Jammu
and Kashmir state. Okay, apart from that, what is which provision says that state government should not have a flag?
The argument would be that it's encouraging a kind of sub-nationalism that is not good for a united India. That is what critics would say, that we have one flag.
It won't affect the sovereignty of the country or the unity of the country. It won't affect, because national flag is there. It is flying high. Only below the national flag, these flags will be there.
Is it fair to say that regional pride is actually the cornerstone of your election campaign? It is the center of your election campaign, that, you know, in a way it is your core issue.
It is one of the factors, not is the major factor before the people. It is one of the factors.
The other very, very controversial decision you took was to recommend that the Lingayats should be recognized as a separate faith. And that is, of course, a decision the centre has to take, but that is the recommendation from the state government. Do you not think that this is a huge gamble that could backfire? You're obviously trying to take a section of the Lingayat vote. Your main challenger, Yediyurappa, is from that community. But this could backfire. It could lead to the consolidation of other voting blocks. It need not lead to the Lingayats voting for you. And in any case, you can't implement it. It depends on the centre.
No, this is not the new issue raised by or initiated by our government. This issue was already there during BJP government. It was, a petition was made, recommendation was made to Government of India. That decision was not taken by the government of India then, when Manmohan Singh ji was there as a Prime Minister of this country, when BJP government was here. But again, all Lingayat sections, they made petitions to government of Karnataka. About 5 petitions, government of Karnataka has received. I have referred all these petitions to State Minority Commission. The State Minority Commission, in turn, they constituted an expert committee headed by one Nagmohan Das, who is a retired High Court judge.
Yes.
They have deliberated constitutionally, socially, and other historically, and all those things. They submitted a report to the government of Karnataka. They have made some recommendations. On the basis of the recommendations, I have recommended to government of India to consider Lingayat religion as a separate, independent religion. Because
the BJP says you're trying to break Hindus, you're trying to divide Hindus.
It is totally not correct. It is because this Lingayat religion has been established long back, not now, about 850 years ago by Basavana. It has been there, but the minority tag was not given. Now they wanted a minority tag to that.
How do you react to the BJP response to this, saying Siddaramaiah is trying to divide the Hindu religion?
So that is a politically motivated statement. There is no truth in that.
But isn't your recommendation also politically motivated?
No, it is not at all. That is why.
Does it not set a dangerous precedent? Because at election time, for a decision like this.
That is why I said this is not a new religion. Or the matter, this issue has not been initiated by us. It has been requested by all Lingayat sections, 5 petitions. See, you know, among Lingayats, the Basavana followers, the Guru Parampara and Virakta Parampara, there are 2 groups. All of them, they have gave petitions. 5 groups, they have submitted petitions to the government of Karnataka. There is the question of division of Lingayats here.
Do you believe the centre will accept your recommendation?
So it is for the centre to take a decision on that.
But then it's just an idea on paper. It doesn't
But
amount
we
to
have
anything
recommended
here.
government of Karnataka has taken a decision on the recommendations made by Nagmohan Das committee, and we have all recommendations have been sent to government of.
Can you talk a little bit about, sometimes they describe you as an atheist, but you're not an atheist, you're a rationalist, right? You believe in not in ritualism, but in a scientific temperament. In politics, do you think that the Congress is a bit confused about whether it wants to suddenly rediscover its Hinduism? Rahul Gandhi is going to temples, Shashi Tharoor is writing books on reclaiming Hinduism from Hindutva. As a rationalist, what is the place of, what does Hinduism or even religion mean to you?
See, I am an Hindu. Basically, I am an Indian.
Are you religious? Are you religious?
Yes. I don't say that I am not an Hindu. See, I don't go into the depth of Hinduism and all that. I do not want to go into the that controversy, because I am an Hindu. I believe in Hinduism, which preaches humanism. So that is why I am a human. I believe in human values. Those who are against human values, they are not Hindus at all. These BJP people, they don't respect human values. For example, that Amit Shah called me as a Hindu. That means I am not an Hindu. He himself is a Jain.
He denies that.
Huh?
He denies
How can he
that.
deny? He is a Jain. Let him come out.
But Jainism is also an offshoot in a way of Hinduism.
That is there. Even in see, if the Lingayat religion is made as a minority, tag is given to that. It's also coming within the Hindu, this thing only. If the Jain is a separate religion, is it not?
But
Let him say that it's
what
not
is the
a separate
difference?
religion, he's not a Jain.
What would you say to those who say that the Congress is what they call Hindu light, that they're trying to catch up with the BJP on Hinduism because because sometimes they've been called an anti-Hindu party,
See,
they've lost out on votes.
See, the difference between the BJP and the Congress, we are secular Hindus, they are communal Hindus. That is the only difference.
Some comparisons have been drawn between you and Narendra Modi as well. And you, I think, said in one of your interviews, the only thing common between us is that is our humble origins. Some people say the other thing that is common is that in a way you have discovered that the only way to beat the BJP is also by picking up some of these
Origin may be
issues.
common, but the philosophy is committed. Philosophy I am committed, ideology I am committed, the ideology is committed, they are quite contrary.
Did you take a risk when you spoke earlier, long back, about the right of people to eat what they want to, when beef politics was at its height? You said your Hinduism, your faith doesn't militate against individual rights. Did you take a political risk with those statements?
It's not a political risk. See, people who are following BJP people, they are not only on the basis of Hinduism, not Hinduism, what is Hindutva?
Yes.
Not Hinduism.
Yes.
Hindutva. All are not following their Hindutva. The people, see, majority people in this country, they are for secularism.
But you know,
They are for pluralism.
but if that is the case, why is your party nationally in such a bad situation? Because the Congress always said we are
No,
secular.
Not because of on this issue, because this Sri Rama temple issue, Babri Masjid issue, already they have been raised and they have failed in that miserably. Still their hidden agenda is establishment of Hindu Rashtra. That is their hidden agenda.
The BJP has accused you of turning a blind eye to the fact that their cadres and their affiliated workers, they say 25 of our workers have been killed in coastal
Is not
Karnataka
correct.
on Siddharamaia's watch, and he's looked the other way.
Their
On
claim
the other
that
hand, he's appeasing minorities. This is their claim.
that claim that the 23 people who were killed, not
Yes,
25, 23
23,
people.
okay.
Out of 23, 11 are not BJP workers, or RSS workers, or this Bajrang Dal workers, Sri Rama Sena workers. Only 12 are those belong to BJP, RSS, Bajrang Dal. 11 are different. They are making all the BJP workers, RSS workers, that claim. But it is not correct that our government is responsible for that and all that. It is totally not correct.
The other thing that they're targeting you on is farmer suicides. And
Which one?
Farmer suicides, farmer suicides. And, you know, in 2016, it was an especially bad year for Karnataka. More than 3,000 farmers killed themselves. That is something that the BJP is planning to make a big issue and have already made a big issue. How do you react to this rural distress that Karnataka has had to struggle with, especially given the number of welfare programs you have, free rice, free milk? Despite those welfare programs, despite your being a socialist, how do you reconcile that with these farmer suicides?
See, it is a general phenomena in the entire country. Farmers are committing suicides. Only in 2 years, that is 15-16 and 16-7, extreme severe drought in Karnataka we have faced. Only in those years, there are, suicides are more. After that, is 17-18, 18-19, they are drastically declined. So only those, because of extreme severe drought, unprecedented drought in Karnataka. That is why it has happened like that.
And the other issue is healthcare. You, like Mamata Banerjee, you have also said that you're not going to contribute to Prime Minister Modi's healthcare, universal healthcare program. You have announced one of your own. Why did you decide to do that? Why did you as a state not support the central scheme for universal healthcare?
Their scheme is insurance scheme. Our scheme is assurance scheme. That is the difference between.
Assurance. So yours is assurance, theirs is insurance.
Ours is assurance scheme. There is insurance scheme. See, we are covering all BPL card holders. We are giving free of medical treatment. If the particular treatment is not available in government hospitals,
Yes.
they can prefer any private hospital. The government will bear the expenditure.
And the government will pay the private hospitals?
Yes, private hospital. The government will bear the expenditure. First, they have to go to the government hospital. If the particular treatment is not available, then they can select any government private hospital. They can take the treatment there. Government will take care of them.
And this is a 6,000 crore, roughly 6,000 crore scheme. How much is your expenditure for healthcare in the state?
It is roughly about 2 to 3,000 crores.
2 to 3,000. Which of your welfare schemes do you think has been the most successful? I know you have the Indira canteens, you have the free rice, you have
Annabhagya is a
Yes.
most successful program. Kshira Bhagya is a most successful program. Kshira Dare, you are giving 5 rupees subsidy for each liter of milk. They are supplying to societies, milk societies. All the farmers, about 10 lakh farmers are covered in this. 10 lakh farmers. This is also more successful. Krushi Bhagya scheme and Vidya Siri program and this Anila Bhagya. We are giving gas connection to about 30 lakh families. So all these programs are successful programs.
You've been accused by some people in Karnataka of focusing a lot on rural Karnataka and not enough on urban infrastructure. Bengaluru, where we are sitting today talking to you, the city's infrastructure in particular is something that people do complain about. Do you believe or do you worry that what happened in Gujarat, where basically the urban centers saved the BJP, the Congress and the opposition did well in the rural centers, are you worried about something like that happening in Karnataka?
No. See, this time you see after the result, you are going to get more seats from Bangalore.
You think that?
Yeah.
Why? Why would Bangalore give you more
It
more
is
seats?
because during their period only, they have spoiled, they have not given importance to the development of infrastructure during their period. And there was lot corruption. There was, they have pledged corporation properties because they have not given proper grants to the Bangalore City Corporation and also other municipalities. But during our period, we are balancing both rural and urban.
So you're confident of urban Karnataka,
Yes.
despite the problems in Bangalore?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Siddaramaiah, you've presented 13 budgets, you enjoy numbers, but you have raised a very controversial debate about the 15th Finance Commission. And initially you tried to create a southern bloc, and you said the south is being discriminated against, and you said that, you know, we are contributing more than we are getting back. But then other economists pointed out that even in the north, there are states like Punjab who contribute more than they get. So this north-south divide that you tried to create didn't quite work.
No,
Why are you questioning the 15th Finance Commission?
It is not our intention to create south, north like that. See, the resources generated by states and going to the government of Karnataka, there should be equitable distribution to all states. Well, terms of preference, they should not make discrimination between the states which are developed, states which are not developed, number one. Number two, the states which are implemented family planning program earnestly, and those states have not implemented.
Like UP and Bihar.
Yes, like that. So, on the basis of that, don't this allocation of funds to between states and the center should not be happening.
So, are you alleging a discrimination against Karnataka in particular, against southern states in particular? What is your specific allegation of the 15th
Karnataka and including southern states, where family program has been implemented strictly and invested more on family planning program, and some states they have not at all implemented family planning program, just getting more central funds.
So, you're saying you're being punished for actually controlling your population?
Yes, for the development we have made, for the this family planning program we have implemented, the states should not be punished.
Talk a little bit about law and order in Karnataka. We've had the Gauri Lankesh murder. We've had the Lokayukt being attacked in his own office. We've had the one of your MLA's son beat up a person in a restaurant. That MLA has got a ticket. You said, why punish him for his son? But the BJP will make law and order an issue. How do you respond to these law and order?
Law and order is perfectly maintained.
But these examples I've given
No,
you.
no. See, these are all stray incidents. MLA's son beaten up somebody.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that his father will be held responsible for that. See, always criminal liability is per se, not others. If there is any conspiracy, it is okay. If there is no conspiracy, how can they say that the father is also responsible for that?
And
See, they are making it as a political issue. And law strictly taken its own course. He has been arrested, he has been sent to jail, still he is in jail, though his father is an MLA, though our party is in power. As a matter of fact, the case was registered initially under section 326 IPC. I only told the police people, convert the FIR into 307. Attempt to murder. See, our government has taken what the law says. According to it, we have to act it.
The other issue on which the BJP has tried to target you is corruption. They even tried to drag your party into the Mehul Choksi, the Punjab PNB bank scam. How do you respond to that?
No. This is all political game. They are making this. We have taken promptly acted. We have taken necessary action on that.
How do you see Yediyurappa as your rival? How would you describe him? For you, what kind of rival? Is he someone you take seriously? Is he someone you don't take seriously?
No, Yediyurappa, the most corrupt politician ever Karnataka come across as Chief Minister. This is my view on him. Most corrupt Chief Minister.
But he wins votes in his community.
Huh?
He wins votes. He still has winnability.
No.
Can you ignore that?
No, this time the people of Karnataka understood what he has done when he was a Chief Minister. He has been sent to jail. He was in jail for some time. The people will not tolerate all these things.
One of the points you made on Twitter when Yashwant Sinha announced that he was taking sannyas from party politics, you wished him well and you said the only person the BJP is not applying the 75-year-old rule to is Yediyurappa. And then you called him a jailbird.
See, Mr. Advani, Mr. Murali Manohar Joshi, Mr. Yashwant Sinha, they have been sidelined only on the ground that they have crossed 75 years. Why exception to Mr. Yediyurappa? Why they are making exception to Mr. Yediyurappa? What special qualification he has? He is a tainted person. Why they are making exception to this? That means to say they have no commitment at all. They are opportunists. According to their convenience, they are playing political game.
Now, we've spoken a lot about the BJP, but there is a third party that we need to talk about. It is once upon a time, it used to be your party as well, the Janata Dal Secular. Do you see Devi Gowda and his son Kumaraswamy as the potential kingmakers of the Karnataka election?
They are dreaming that they are going to be kingmakers. That's not going to be happened. That's not going to be happened. They will be disappointed.
But any seats they take will help the BJP and could cut potentially into your vote.
No, they can't, because people have understood their game plan of this internal understanding between BJP and Congress. And see, both Yediyurappa, Amit Shah, Narendra Modi and Kumaraswamy, Devegowda, why they are attacking only me? Why Yediyurappa is not attacking Kumaraswamy?
No, it's quite clear that they could come together after the election.
Why Kumaraswamy is not attacking Yediyurappa? or BJP? There is a tacit understanding between these two. They are trying to dislodge our government because ours is a secular government. Ours is a performing government. Ours is a people's-oriented government. Ours is a development-oriented government. They do not want this government. They are trying to dislodge by this type of adjustment.
But does it not worry you, that adjustment?
No.
Because in case you fall short of an absolute majority, these two parties could come together in a post-poll situation.
No, that situation does not arise at all.
What if it does?
Congress party will
What
get...
if it does? Hypothetically, indulge me for a moment, what if it
No,
does?
even hypothetically, that situation does not arise at all.
In case, could you consider an alliance with them post-poll, with the JDS?
Pardon?
In case you fall short of numbers, would
That
you be
question
willing
does
to
not arise at all,
consider-
madam.
But if it does?
Madam, I am very confident. I know the pulses of the people of Karnataka. You will get clear majority. You will come back to power. That situation does not arise at all.
How important do you think Karnataka is for the future of the Congress? Because we have seen some old Congress types like Veerappa Moily and all not very happy with the fact that they don't have as much of a say, that you are the strongman of Karnataka. How are you going to deal with the old guard of the Congress here?
There
Let's
are
first
no
talk about that.
differences among Congress leaders in Karnataka.
Mr. Moily? Mr.
No, with
Moily had a bit of an
Moily,
outburst.
whether it is in Mr. Kharge or Mr. Moily
Yes.
or Mr. Muniappa or anybody, as a matter of fact, we are all unitedly working for the success of the party.
The BJP is hoping that Siddaramaiah has peaked too early, that the main part of their campaign, which is the Prime Minister, still has to come. Mr. Modi is going to do 16 rallies from the 1st of May. Are you concerned that the BJP will try and turn this not into a Siddaramaiah versus Yediyurappa battle, but into a Siddaramaiah versus Modi battle?
Admittedly, there are no leaders in BJP in Karnataka. Admittedly, they only admit that they are depending upon Mr. Modi. Isn't it? Modi came to Karnataka 5 times. He addressed public rallies. It has not made any impact in Karnataka. Let Modi comes 100 times to Karnataka, he will not change the people who have already decided to vote Congress party.
Are you saying Modi has zero impact in Karnataka?
No, I don't say that he's a zero. He's a Prime Minister of the country.
Zero political impact
no,
on your fortunes?
No, I am not saying that Mr. Modi is a zero political. I don't say that.
What do you say?
I will not stoop to that level.
What is his impact on Karnataka
No,
politics?
Karnataka compared with either with
UP, maybe?
UP, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, like
Yes.
that. These are people who love secularism, who are committed to secularism, and this Hindu card will not.
But as Prime
bring-
Minister Modi builds up his presence here, does that worry you?
Because Modi, in all the times in previous occasions, see, he is not discussing about the developments or his achievements before the people. Merely he came and made a statement, make allegation against our government. Siddaramaiah's government is a 10% government.
Yes.
Being a Prime Minister of this country, if he makes a baseless political statement like this, could anybody believe this? They can't fool the people like that. See, this type of statement will not work here.
Are you worried that he could pull off what he did in UP, where, for example, the BJP didn't declare a CM candidate and it was the Modi factor that won? And even now, people are saying only the Modi factor can beat Siddaramaiah. What is the Modi factor for you?
There is no Modi factor, there is no Modi effect, there is no Modi wave in Karnataka.
You're confident?
I am confident, fully confident.
Let's talk a little bit about Siddaramaiah the person. We know Siddaramaiah the politician. Maybe not many people outside of Karnataka know how your life actually started. The fact that you enrolled in a formal school only, I think, at the age of 12 or 13?
No, I joined 5th standard.
5th standard.
Directly 5th standard.
So before that, describe your life. What was your life before?
No, as a farmer son like others, I was in the village, I was doing like that.
Was it a hard life? You've sometimes said your socialism comes from the life you lived as a child.
See, whatever I learned from my life, my experience, on the base of experience, most of our programs have launched.
They're directly from your experience of your own life.
Yes. See what Ambedkar says. My message to people of country is my life. That's what he said. Here I am not telling that, but experience makes a man.
How would you define that experience? What did it teach you? What did those years of struggle and hardship teach you?
You see, when I was a small boy in our village, the people were not growing paddy. And see, they were not, they used to eat only ragi ball or jowar ball like that they are used to. They were not preparing this rice and all this thing, because rice was only during festivals, or if the relatives come, they used to eat only rice. But the children, small children, 6 months old, 9 months old, 1 year old children, if they fell ill, they have to go to the houses where rice is available, and they used to beg for a small bowl of rice. See, that I have seen in my own eyes. It is my experience, and that is why this Annabhagya scheme has been introduced. Now we are giving, we are giving 7 kgs of rice per head. There is no upper limit. Upper limit.
Yes.
Every month we are giving. So we have to make Karnataka state as hunger-free state. So I have learned this through my experience.
Mr. Sidibhai, I'll ask you a last question in the end. We live in the age of fake news, where on WhatsApp, any rumor can be spread. In the internet in particular, any rumor can be spread. Your government actually arrested somebody who runs a site called Postcard News. I don't want to give it too much publicity, but it's an anti-Muslim site which lies all the time. A lot of the BJP local leaders here said that this was a biased decision, that, Mahesh Hegde was the editor who was put in jail. How would you respond to the BJP charge that you were playing politics?
No, I never played politics. Whoever committed crime, he has to be punished. Whoever violated the law, he has to be punished. Law will always, without discriminating anybody, law takes its own course.
Why will Mr. Siddaramaiah become Chief Minister again? Why will you become? Why should people vote for you? Why, if you had to say it in one line?
I'm not going to the people that I should vote Congress for, that I am going to be the next Chief Minister. See, the Congress party has decided to go for this election under my leadership. It is for the people to decide. The people will compare me with Mr. Yediyurappa. Yediyurappa, he was in power.
Yeah.
Why he has gone to jail? How his government was corrupt? And compare my government with Yediyurappa's government.
What if they compare you to Mr. Modi? That's what the BJP is hoping. BJP is hoping
see,
not
comparing
Yediyurappa,
Modi,
they compare you to
comparing Modi is not at all relevant here. It comes in the national parliament election, it comes. But not now.
So you're confident?
Yes, I am confident.
Thank you very much. I think in your hands rests the future of the national future of your party. It's a heavy burden to carry, and you're at least putting up a very good fight. Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you.